sold like an object. But one person showed her the true meaning of family. The first time Alira remembered being sold, she was barely old enough to walk. The iron collar was too heavy for her thin neck, the chains rattling each time she stumbled. She didn't know words like property or commodity, only that the hands that should have lifted her up shoved her down instead. By the time she reached 16, she'd been sold more times than she could count. Different planets, different markets, different buyers. Some wanted her for her exotic alien features, her pale silver skin that shimmered faintly in dim light, or the faint bioluminescent glow of her eyes. Others wanted her strength, for her kind were known to endure heat and cold better than most humans. But none of them wanted her. She was never Alira. She was only the girl, or the lot, or the thing that changed the day she arrived at the frontier world of Rallos 4. The auction house was crowded, smelling of dust, oil, and sweat. Traders shouted, buyers jostled, and the stage creaked under the weight of frightened beings. Alira kept her head down. It was safer that way. The handler yanked her chain, dragging her into the light. She flinched when a hand slapped her shoulder to make her stand straighter. The auctioneer barked her qualities: strong back, obedient, rare breed, useful for labor or companionship. "Open your eyes, girl," the handler hissed. Alira obeyed. The crowd stared back. Hungry eyes appraised at her like she was nothing more than a tool. Her heart sank. It would be the same again. She would go some cold house or hot field, and life would blur into days of silence and orders. But then she noticed one man who wasn't shouting. He wasn't bidding, either. He stood apart from the crowd, arms crossed, watching her with a look that wasn't hunger. It wasn't indifference, either. His gaze was steady, almost human. When the bidding began, voices rose. Prices shot up. Alira braced herself. But the man stepped forward, spoke quietly to the auctioneer, and handed over something small and metallic. The auctioneer froze, paled, then nodded quickly. Just like that, the bidding ended. The man walked over and unlocked her chain himself. No one had ever done that. His voice was calm when he said, "Come with me." His name was Joran. He wasn't wealthy nor powerful. He was a mechanic who fixed transport haulers in a dusty settlement. His hands were scarred with burns, his shirt patched with oil stains, and his boots worn from years of work. He didn't treat her like a servant. When he brought her home, he pointed at a chair by the table and said, "Sit. You look like you haven't eaten properly in weeks." Alira froze. Slaves didn't sit at tables. But Joran had already ladled stew into a bowl and pushed it toward her. The smell made her dizzy. She ate slowly at first, afraid he might snatch it away. When he didn't, she ate faster until the bowl was empty. "More?" he asked. Her voice shook when she whispered, "Please?" Joran smiled faintly and filled it again. Days passed. She waited for the orders to come. "Clean this, carry that, sleep in the corner." But instead, Joran asked questions. "What do you like to do?" She stared blankly. She didn't know. "Ever fix a hauler engine?" She shook her head. "Want to learn." She hesitated. Slowly, she nodded. And so she learned. He showed her how to tell a broken coolant valve from a corroded one, how to weld without burning her hands, how to listen for the faint rattle that meant a gear was loose. For the first time in her life, someone taught her, not because they wanted to use her, but because they wanted to share. At night, she sat by the fire in his small home. He never locked the door. He never chained her. Once, she tested it, slipped outside in the dark, heart racing, half expecting to be punished. But no one stopped her. She could have run. She didn't, because for the first time, she wasn't afraid. Weeks turned into months. One day, Joran came home with a small bundle. "Found this in the market. I thought of you." Inside was a dress. Simple, rough fabric, but soft. Alira's throat tightened. Clothes had always been given to her as uniforms, rags to mark her as property. But this was a gift. Why? She whispered. Joran shrugged. Because you deserve something that's yours. No one had ever said that to her before. She pressed the dress to her chest and whispered, Thank you. But peace never lasted long in Alira's life. One evening, armed men stormed Joran's workshop. They shoved him aside and pointed at her. That one stolen property. Their leader sneered. You bought her with forged credits. She belongs to the syndicate. Alira's stomach dropped. This was it. She'd be taken again. Joran stood his ground. She belongs to no one. The men laughed. One backhanded him, sending him sprawling. Rage flared in Alira's chest. She should have stayed quiet, but she couldn't. Not anymore. She's not a thing, she shouted, stepping in front of Joran. My name is Alira. I'm not an object to be sold. The men blinked in surprise. Slaves weren't supposed to speak like that. Joran struggled to his feet. If you want her, you'll have to go through me. The standoff ended when the settlement guards arrived. The syndicate men backed down, muttering threats. But they left. Alira knelt beside Joran, touching his bleeding lip. Her voice broke. Why did you stand up for me? They could have killed you. He looked at her, eyes steady. Because you're family now. The word lodged in her heart like sunlight breaking through clouds. Family. She'd never had one. She'd never thought she would. From then on, she wasn't just Alira, the former slave. She was Alira, apprentice mechanic. Alira, the girl who laughed when Joran spilled oil on his boots. Alira, who sewed curtains for their little home and planted flowers outside the door. Every night. She went to sleep not fearing the next day, but wondering what new things she might learn, what small joy might come. And every morning, she woke to Joran's voice, gruff but warm. Come on, Alira, let's get to work.